Welcome back. If you're new, thank you for joining. It's a pleasure to have you. My name is Kayla. I go by Jazzy, and we're here with a more, I would say, intentful video. And if anything, you guys may know the subject matter. A lot of my videos, when they're with intention, they're a lot more spiritual based. But I really wanted to touch on that energy, and I really thought that it was smart to ponder on the best way to break down this energy without having to lose touch of the objective of really trying to decipher this versus that. Is not right or wrong, but just when things are of a certain vibration, it holds certain signatures. So this is what we're highlighting. And the topic is 5 things a real spiritual person wouldn't do. And everyone is spiritual beings. Everyone has the capability to enlighten themselves and develop themselves into deeper knowledge of wisdom beyond just the physical aspect. And when you do that, in my heart, I believe that that's really tapping into your spiritual insight and your spiritual being, which, like I said, we all are. But there's a lot of people that are living a life and they really are so superficial or so materialistic or so just 3D bound that they don't realize that it's a lot of this world that is unseen and a lot of this world that is more of just this world. So, regardless of what people like to believe, this is my justifications on how you can decipher in this time and age what a real spiritual person will resonate as. And these are the qualities that I feel like, regardless of what realm, what race, what area you may be from, when you're vibrating on this frequency, this is a clear sign to show. And we're going to break that down coming from a real spiritual being, and that's testified in my blood. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, and I had issues with this actually growing up, so I know that tapping into my more spiritual side influenced me to be a lot more enlightened and a lot more aligned on how I deal with this. But when you're dealing with people and they have erratic emotions, maybe anger, maybe frustration, maybe even just emotional depression or things of that sort, when you're dealing with someone of that energy, as a real spiritual person, you would never take that personally. I think that actually I know for sure because I read it recently, but the Four Agreements speak on that as well. So I'm not sure if that guy that wrote the Four Agreements, if he's really a spiritualist, but I would say just because of his wisdom and his insight, that that's very valid. Every spiritual person, you have to be to a certain extent of wisdom and insight to be able to carry yourself in this 3D realm on a higher vibration. Everyone is the same in regards to we're all humans. We all have what is for us, our destiny, and we all gonna meet our fate of death. But how you live this reality, it shows in your development, in your growth. So if you're a spiritual person, and I know with me, I'm a Sagittarius, so it was hard for me to balance emotions growing up. But as I learned to develop, I realized that my emotions was just affected a lot more by other people. And now I understand it's because I'm empathetic, but also I had to manage that and balance that. And that was part of me developing my spiritual path and aligning within that spiritual path and aligning within myself, the spiritual being that I've already been. But to the point where I'm realizing that a lot of issues or things that are sent to try to throw me off balance, like realizing what that is. So a lot of spiritual people, they call it demons, or they think whatever they want to think, entities coming to test them. And that's something that's a real valid thing. It's not even about that person or whatever that person may think about you. A lot of times it's deeper than that and it's beyond you. So when you're a spiritual person and you understand that you're being used as a vessel to either teach or regulate circumstances, you realize that when someone is coming with any energy that is not of you, you can decipher beyond that, and you don't take that energy personal to the fact where you feel like, not saying that you didn't manifest that in a certain way, but you don't feel like you have to be as that. You can look at it from a higher point of view and be a little bit more constructive, even if you don't verbalize that in your brain. That's really where it matters, where you understand that this is happening for this effect. Spiritual people, real spiritual people, they understand that. And you already know what's up if you're spiritual. So let's go on to the next thing, because a lot of times as a Sagittarius with a Sagittarius Mercury, I like to really get to the point. Like, I like to really talk about what's really the details. It's a lot of details for me, and I tend to look at things from an overview, but I'm also aware of those little things and how it affects. So sometimes I verbalize that. But a real spiritual person, you would know that you don't have to prove a point. And it's so interesting. I know a lot of people will feel the type of way about that, because everybody that go on their spiritual path, one of the first testers of you knowing that you are developing yourself spiritually is when you want to go and tell other people, like, oh, this is this, and conspiracy. They tell back in the days we was conspiracy theorists, or back in the days we was whatever they wanted to call us, taboo. And I would go and try to look at all those things that nobody knew about and tell them about it and go so hard. Like, I never had to argue with anybody, because when I come with something, I feel like it's justified enough with fact that people just let it be whatever I perceive it to be, or at least in my head or in my reality. Nobody really checked me. But it's some people that go as far as like arguing, and even now to this day, even if it's not about a spiritual thing, or anything that has to do with politics or any controversial topic, even if it's not spiritual based, a real spiritual person would not take the time to sit there and try to prove to somebody that is not aligned on their vibration what they know. They don't need to do that, because we understand that that person is just not aligned with our vibration. So no matter how much you try to preach to that person, or whatever the case may be, if they're not meant to receive that, a real spiritual person understands how energy works, down to the point where we could be having a conversation with someone that is aligned, and then a certain topic pop up, and then we realize energy wise, oh, they're not really feeling it how I would feel it. So I know that I could verbalize it in maybe a less detailed way, be a little bit more vague, leave room for them to say or whatever. Or sometimes my mama, for example, and shouts out to my mom if you watching this, but if I get on my spiritual shit and I really get to talking like I could talk with anybody, actually, but my mom in particular, because my mom knows me, even her, I see her, I could tell when she cuts off, and I could tell when she's intrigued, and I could tell when she's over. Like, that in itself, understanding that and knowing that it's okay not to be trying to force anything on anybody, that's a real spiritual trait. And real spiritual people, we all know how to master that. You have to have mastered that to be able to really be in this vibration of what I'm speaking on, with real spiritual persons being in tune with their spirituality. And with that, a real spiritual person would never dismiss their boundaries or their principles. To a spiritual person, that is everything. That is their beliefs. That's their understanding. And that's why sometimes we could look at ourselves like we're not like the regular people, because our understanding of this reality changes the way that we perceive the reality. So our life and the way that real spiritual people process is different from a regular Joe who want to live the American dream. And not saying spiritual people can't live the American dream, but I would just say that the spiritual dream is a valid brand that is going to be coming out, and is going to look as such, so when that starts to develop, then people can understand, okay, this is the life path of a spiritual person. Now, this is not just the American dream. Yes, they may be doing things that may regulate or may accommodate within that American dream, but as a spiritual person, your job is beyond anything that can be on this physical realm. So if you leaving anything behind, it should be just showing that you can grow and still develop positively in regards to how this realm thinks positive is. So, and that's one of the things that some vessels, some spiritual people, some earth angels, some star seeds, when we come here, we feel like we have to prove it on a physical realm just so people can see it. But when you really think about your boundaries and what you stand for as a real spiritual person, I don't care if you're on YouTube and you have to go out there and talk, like, Spirit tell me, hey, you got this insight, tell other people this in a certain way. I'm going to do that in a way that I want to do it. And if I feel like it's becoming too much for me, then it's going to be accommodated to what I feel is going to make me feel more safe, because at the end of the day, this is my vessel to present to the world. I am the ultimate leader in what I choose to do and how I choose to live my life. So understanding that, it means nobody, whether they be entities, ancestors, physical beings, bosses, mothers, dads, nobody could allow me to be so uncomfortable within my boundaries, outside of my boundaries, that I lose myself. Spiritual people understand themselves so much that they are a brand, they are a stance. And that's why, regardless of where you at in the world, if you were a real spiritual person, I could look like you. we could go and have a conversation, and I could see, oh, she understands her boundaries, she understands her principles. Oh, I had to meet her on this level because she you know, and this is something we don't talk about. This is why I'm letting you know, these are 5 signs when you are a spiritual person, or even if you're trying to develop into that, when you see these energy signatures, this is something that you will master as a spiritually enlightened person. So talking about that, something that is hard oftentimes for most people, not for me because it's natural. I'm okay with being a little bit of dark, a little bit of bright, and I'm on that level of spirituality. But when you're dealing with people that lie, gossip, or hang around with others that don't align with them energetically, that is not a real spiritual person. So if this person is so insightful with knowledge, whether it be spiritual knowledge or just earthly knowledge, and a lot of spiritual people, they get mixed up because there's a lot of people that could be book smart, but that spirituality is not something you can learn in books. It's a lifestyle. And this is not something that I'm living this lifestyle, you could watch me and then be me. You can't do that. If you haven't developed these things in your mind, it's going to show. So long story short, people that gossip, lie, and hang out with people that are unaligned with them and verbalize that, and you can see that. Or if you are a person that gossip and you lie and you and that person face smiling, I want you to know that that's not a real spiritual thing. That's actually very demonic. And whether it's right or wrong is lower vibrational in the ways of judgment, because everyone outside of you is a form of reflection for you. And remember when I said don't take things personal? When you're taking things not only personal but looking at it in a negative vibration, you're reflecting that on yourself. And also when you lying on somebody, you don't want that karma. When you gossiping on somebody and you smiling in that person's face, God see that. Your ancestors see that, and sometimes you don't want your ancestors not fuck with you. When they seeing that you moving in a way that's not of your purest, genuine self, and you also being in a lower vibration, your whole life, I don't care if you're a millionaire, your life will deplenish. And real spiritual people know that energy-wise, you're not gonna do nobody how you don't want to be treated. Or at least me. I'm from Miami. I'm a Miami spiritualist. So we have other type of like just codes to like what's right and what's wrong. But regardless of it, that energy signature of gossiping and lying on somebody, that's an insecurity within you. But when you put that out to the world and you doing that with other people, that is a form of black magic. And real spiritual people, whether they know it's black magic or not, they know energetically they don't fuck with that. Because like even with me, I could be kiki laughing. Oh, we could talk about people and shit. I'm a Sagittarius, like I say. So I'll call you out. I'll call myself out. Shit, my knees be cracking sometimes. And I laugh at myself. So if somebody laughing at that, I could understand. I'm not going to take it personal to where I'll be insecure about it, because I'm still a god. I'm a goddess. I'm still a light being. I'm still an earth angel. So I know how powerful that is. And regardless of how this physical body that's not even going to stay with me, how it reacts, I try to just keep it as comfortable as I can keep it. But it's going to be a human. It's going to be imperfections. And I'm just grateful that I'm able to, with my imperfections, still excel and not be held back by anything that may not be perfect. And, you know, so... just to reiterate, when you're in a circumstance where if someone is not on your alignment, or when you lying on that person, or you gossiping, and gossiping is pretty much lying, but in a bulk and trying to invoke a certain type of reality of the person that you know is not true, that energy, or when you hanging out with people and you know that being around that person does not make you feel good, real spiritual people develop outside of that. I'm to the point where I'd rather be with myself all day than to be around a lot of people giving me validation, and I don't really fuck with that shit. So, oh my God, it's so funny. Going to the last one. Number 5, validating themselves with outer sources. And this is powerful because earth angels, spiritual people that are on their spiritual path are meant to be seen in these times. So how do you master not needing the validation from others, but still being seen and being able to project yourself to others? That's a very powerful thing, because me, to be frank with you, I feel like if I didn't post these videos every day, nobody would take me serious. And I take that into account for my own growth, for my own development, wanting to develop something new and realizing, okay, if I want something new, I had to change something within me, but starting with me first. Like, and that's why I don't care if people watching my videos or not. I'm going to still be posting something every day. And I feel like I've done that before in another form, and I got the most validation because I could say I did something consistently for over a year for me. I don't care if people see it or not, but the people that do see it, that's who it's for. So understanding that when you're a spiritual person everybody is working together in some way to bring knowledge and lessons to this world, to higher the consciousness, to allow people to develop more internally, but also catapult down the outer so that we can grow and actually do more. So when we're in that phase, you have to understand that your job is just to listen to what your intuition is telling you. Because like my intuition told me, you have chores to do, but you also have this video that you're supposed to been do. So figure out, because this is your priority. So it's not about the sake of, I need to get my chores done because this is my responsibility, and this don't get me paid at this point. It's about the principle of the job. The real spiritual job is remembering that it's more than chores, it's more than money, it's more than the life that you think is so big and bad. Like my life is a extraordinary life, but the truest value in it, and the reason why I feel like I'm here on this earth now, it's a lot of ways that I could have been gone years ago. A lot of times I could have been gone since I was a child. I almost drowned, 9 years old, and that was just one of multiple ways that I could not have been here. And I feel like the reason why God put me here is not so that I can make sure I have a clean house or make sure that I have a nice car. God put me here so that I could be a representation of life for people that may not see it this way, or may not have a person to tell them that you can create it in the way that you want. I'm the living representation of that. So that is what's more important. And that is why I don't need the validation, but I seek to be heard and consistent with self, and then also reflecting that on the outer for anybody else that might need that. And trust your own pace. Trust that even when you do get a form of validation, that is a beautiful thing. But even without that, or even when you get a negative form of validation, that does not take away from your worth or your value or what you are given to the earth. Because when you have breath in your lungs, that's because God is saying that you have something to give to the earth. If you don't believe in God, whoever created you, wherever you came from, the reason why you're still here is because you still have something more to offer. And if you don't, everyone knows that shit, your life would just be going like this, and life will keep on moving. You know what I'm saying? So take that shit seriously. And spiritual people, if y'all out here doing the work, I applaud y'all. We out here. It's hard. I cry. And it's a lot of things that I feel like I'm continuously learning, and maybe it might take my whole life to heal and learn through things. But if nothing else, knowing myself and being confident in what it is that I'm giving out to this world is what makes me spiritually inclined and spiritually in tune. And I'm grateful for that. So if y'all watching this still, go ahead and go ahead and let me know what you think. You can comment, or you can just subscribe, or you can send it to a friend, or you can just say, damn, that girl is lit. Let her continue to do her shit, and I'm gonna feel that energetically. So yeah, I'm gonna go on to my chores now, but this is my video for today. I see y'all tomorrow. Peace. Roy, you wanna say something? Okay, baby Roy wanna say something. He over here snacking on his bone, but we always gotta show Roy. Hey baby boy, let's cover the pew-pews. Look at the camera. You don't like the light? He said, Mama, why did you pick me up? I was eating my bone. But he's growing his fur. Look at his hair, so cute. Okay, baby, I'm gonna leave you alone. All right, y'all. Peace.